So I will start recording now. Hi, welcome to FAB Conversations. I am Sonu Bhasin, and FAB is, of course, Families and Business. Today, I have a guest with me who knew right from her childhood that she wanted to grow up and run her father's business. And she did just that. She is the CEO of Industrial Fasteners, and she has a passion for martial arts and dance. So I don't know about you, but I'm very eager to talk to her to find out more about such diverse passions and her passion for work. And I'm delighted to have with me Shivani Doshi Parikh as my guest on FAB Conversations. Welcome, Shivani.
Thank you, Sonu, for having me on FAB Conversations today. It's a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, pleasure to see you. I mean, we've been speaking with each other, and in normal times we would have met face to face, but at least thankfully, through Zoom, we can do this conversation digitally. So Shivani, you grew up knowing absolutely with conviction that you wanted to join your father's business, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then you joined your father's business when you were just 16. Before you went on to do your higher studies and other work. So tell us how and when did this conviction take root in you?
You'll be surprised to know, but this actually, the first time I was very keen, or rather I knew I wanted to do this was in grade 3. Right from my grade 3, every vacation I've spent at Dad's office, and I've always wanted to go there. I've loved looking at Dad work, manage the company, manage people. I used to personally love the accounts office a lot, and spent a lot of time there understanding what really goes on and all the hard work that Dad puts in before he comes home. And that's when I knew I wanted to help him and wanted to do this in life. And I have worked and studied and read and done everything right in that direction to be there to work towards being the CEO of a company. So that I can manage various aspects of it, because, or rather being an entrepreneur also, it's something that, it's very, you can just not focus on one thing. It's probably, you say, jack of all, master of none. So I have worked upon touching various skills in my life, especially over a period of time when I identified I wasn't good at certain things. I focused per se more on those skills to make sure that I can bring that touch in my business as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So, you were convinced from grade 3 that you wanted to run the business along with your dad. Yeah. Was your dad equally enthusiastic about it?
My dad has been very, very ambitious and passionate about me as a child overall. We have 3 daughters, and for all of us, he's always wanted us to study, be well educated, and also have good enough work experience. He wanted us to balance our personal and professional life. So that's the kind of father I've been blessed with. And he was definitely very supportive, and he always taught me. But yes, over a period of time, when I was closer to marriage age, there were a lot of question marks. Whether is she going to be able to do it, or is the family she getting married into, going to support this? So these are very generic questions that any father would have in mind once their daughter is about a certain age and ready to be married. But so it was a little tough journey convincing my dad that I want to work with him post my marriage and continue this and take it to different heights. As in when he saw me working, coming to work every day, seeing my husband, being absolutely a part of this, my family being a part of it, it built a lot of confidence in him. And after that, there was no looking back. But it did take me a year to bring that and build that confidence in him that, yes, Dad, I'm going to equally run this company like you. I'm not just here to come part-time to help out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And, in one of our previous conversations, you said something, and, when you mentioned your marriage, that triggered it in my mind. And what you said has stuck in my mind. You said that a woman has to take birth 3 times. Remember?
Yes. I truly still believe it.
So can you expand on that for the benefit of people who haven't heard this? Because I found it so to the point.
I would just say initially when we are born, we have an open field in front of us to, depending on the kind of family we are born with also, to learn, to grow. Per se, there are no boundaries. The moment we are married and going into a different family, you're again, that entire zone changes. You know, we had a different ground when you're born. I would take it as 3 grounds. So if you have like three massive grounds, you have a ground. We're supposing you feel that the ground is great enough to move in various directions. There are no restrictions. When we get married, maybe the ground that we are on may not be the same. It may not be that open. It may have certain restrictions. The soil may be harder, you know, the weather may be different. So things are different there. And I would say that's the rebirth of a woman there, where she needs to now adjust to that soil, or rather, and of course it comes with the people around her as well, not her alone, but with the people around. But yes, it is a rebirth there. And taking what you have from your previous ground, bringing it here, and how you grow from there is, I think, the biggest challenge. What I realized is you don't want to look back and say that, oh, this ground is different from this ground. Yeah. I think what I found fruitful doing is picking up what the best I could from one place, moving it and capitalizing what I had at the next place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the third is motherhood, right? I think you go into another place which has way too many restrictions, because now you have a child in hand, a child's routine in hand, and you want to grow this child into something and give it the best of the value systems and the best of the life. So again, you know, that's another rebirth.
Yeah.
So I would say that the growth that I had from, you know, ground 1 to ground 2, taking all the strength from there, taking all my learnings, experience, and then moving on to be a mother has really helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Starting early is what is, I would say, the biggest benefit for a woman, because by the time you're a mother, there are certain priorities that change. There are certain things you may want to personally do or give to your family. And it's very difficult to grow your business or yourself along with that child. So if you're sorted and set there, it's far more easier to balance both.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, you've talked about this rebirth or birth again from the point of view of you as a person. Yeah. But also, you know, especially if you are a working woman, and if you are, you know, taking over the business, or you are part of the business, again, at each stage, you have to prove yourself. You know, when you are unmarried, then your father says, oh, let's see how long is she going to be interested. And after that, you know, after you're married, whether she'll have time for not. And then when you have your child, then though it's like, definitely, how can she, you know, spend so much of time? So did you also have to go through those 3 obstacles?
Yes, I have gone through those obstacles, and, you know, also faced it in various stages. From my father, from my husband, from my in-laws, not from the perspective of support. I was blessed to be supported, but from the perspective of performance. Is it really worth it? Because there was tremendous amount of hard work I was putting in. I've slept for just 4 hours a day. I worked morning to night trying to balance all the roles. So of course they feel bad. They're like, are you sure you want to go through this struggle?
Yeah.
But personally, Sonu, I feel if you're persistent and focused on something, then there's nothing that's coming your way. So for me personally, it was just about my focus. I was absolutely focused and very persistent about the fact that I will have to put in this hard work at this given point in time. I am balancing more than I can handle. But instead of saying I cannot handle, I'm going to build myself up more to handle that.
Yeah.
That was my attitude.
Yeah. And do you also feel that as an inheritor anyway, you know, there's a pressure of expectation from everyone else on you. But when you're a woman inheritor and the business that you're in is not typically what a woman is associated with, and, you know, after this, maybe you can tell us a little more about the business. But have you faced that pressure, whether it's invisible or visible, that you think that you have to prove yourself more than anybody else because you're a woman inheritor of a business that is not typically associated with women?
Yes, true. Unfortunately, true. I've spent a lot of years proving myself in various places. So, for example, I'll give a very basic example. Suddenly, people plan to have a meeting at 7 p.m. Mostly, what happens with a lot of people is either unmarried or maybe being a male counterpart. Uh, oh, yes, let's just go. I mean, we can have the meeting. Why not? What happens with us is at 7:30, 8 is dinner time at home, and you probably want to be around, you know, especially if it's a pre-planned meeting, then you probably have planned your day accordingly. But if it's a sudden meeting, it's tough. And especially when you're newly married and trying to, set up your family life. So those are the kind of events that I've faced a lot, where there are a lot of, and then the question of, oh, she's a lady, oh, she's married now, so probably she cannot do this. So when you're in that struggle phase trying to prove everybody, these are also the kind of obstacles that have come. But again, I think your work speaks for itself, and just being confident, not losing confidence, and putting up your talent there turns turn people down. I mean, who look at it otherwise, I would say.
Yeah. So before I ask, next question about your journey, can you tell me about the business? What is the business, and what aspect of the business got you so interested?
To answer your first question, we are into fasteners. In layman terms, bolts and nuts, but we do the bigger ones for industrial purposes. So we are distributors and contract manufacturers for industrial fasteners, which are typically applied in steel plants, cement companies, petrochemical companies, solar plants. And these are bigger sizes. They're very, very specialized fasteners. I do not come from an engineering background, but for some reason, I've had a passion for engineering. So the entire technical aspect came in very easy to me. And I visited a lot of manufacturing plants from, with dad. I used to keep visiting a lot of manufacturing plants up in Ludhiana. So that really helped me understand the product very well. As far as a little bit about the aspect of the business that really got me into was management. For me, fasteners is a very, very labor-oriented job. It's the amount of effort that I've seen my father put in. The returns, I would say, are probably a little lower than the efforts put in. That kind of really got to me as to how do I change this ratio for a product like that, where I put in less effort, but get a little more return than what we were making at that point in time. And I felt that required a lot of new technology, new ways of business, new ways of management. So for me, that was my turnaround point. Okay, I've got to change this ratio in the business.
Yeah.
And hopefully I managed it pretty well. So
yeah, so it's actually a woman in a man's world, because A, it's manufacturing, B, it's an industrial product, very few women. And you've been candid in the past when you've said that the journey was challenging.
yes.
There are a lot of women growing up in family businesses who want to be part of the business, but either are discouraged or they themselves get discouraged because of the perceived challenges. Can you share what were the challenges and how you overcame them? Because that would be a great insight for the young women who also want to follow their father's footsteps.
Sure. So I'm just going to put this simply here. The challenge is, whenever a woman feels that something is a challenge, what I would request most of the women to do is first to look at what their internal talent is. I have seen a lot of women over a period of time myself, and in fact, even mentored a couple of women who were working before marriage, stopped working, and now want to get back to work, and they're just not being able to find that confidence to come back to it. And what I've realized is a lot of women, to kind of take it and say that, hey, I want to work, but today dad is saying no, or husband is saying no. Before that, make yourself capable and have tremendous amount of self-confidence as to what is required from you to seriously go there and do something. Sitting for long working hours, reading up a lot, being able to, for example, in the manufacturing sector, there are a lot of rude people, tough men there. I can't listen, somebody may even be rude to me on the phone. I can't probably putting that phone down and going and telling that, hey, someone spoke rudely to me. You got to find the guts in you to go face that and, like deal with it. So first women need to work on themselves and get very knowledgeable, make themselves very capable. If you are confident and capable, you will pass that vibration on to somebody who's talking to you. You need to have the convincing power to explain your dad or your husband or your family that, hey, you know what, I've done this, I'm capable of it, and I want to do it. If you're going to be able to prove them once or twice, or rather do it with them, and they see that talent in you, they will support you. So I think it's very, very important first for women to make themselves absolutely capable. Yeah. And capable from time to time. This shouldn't change whether you're single, married, or a mother. A constant learning experience is very, very important. A lot changes in us when we change different scenarios, moving from your mom's house to your to another house, and then becoming a mother. A lot of psychological, hormonal changes there are a lot of changes that a woman undergoes, but constant learning, constant education will always keep you at par. So I would suggest all women to do that, is work upon themselves first. Once you're confident of that, have the convincing power to go talk to the person with you that you're going to do it. And I'm sure they'll support you.
So I'm sure that the women who are determined to make a difference and to carry on the business will be good at it. But it's also, Shivani often said that when a woman comes into the workplace, especially if as a business owner, there are many changes that she brings about in the workplace. And I know that, after you did your CA, CFA, and then you worked with KPMG, both in Chicago and Bombay, you gave up your job in Bombay because you said that you did not like the work environment. Yes. So now that you have your own business, A, how do you define a good environment? And B, what have you done to bring about a good environment for all workers in your own business?
For me, a good work environment is where my team feels like coming to work next day and they perform, not always, but mostly at their best. I've always wanted my team to come in to work with the attitude that, whatever struggles I have in my life, otherwise, I'm coming here and I'm going to feel achieved. And I feel and that's something that we constantly do these talks every 15, 20 days with the team, where I think giving them a sense of achievement gives them a lot of confidence. My team is entirely women. I had mentioned that earlier also. And except for my warehouse, which is still male dominated, and I'm looking to have a lot more female staff there. I'm actually intending to have females do my packing eventually versus males do the packing at the warehouse. Waiting for COVID actually, and hopefully I would be able to change that as well. But coming back to your question, most of the women who come to my workplace are married women with children. They struggle a lot before making it to work. And I do understand that struggle being a part of it. In fact, their challenges are much more because, they definitely do not have a staff at home or a very big team at home. So with all due respect to that, when they come to work, I just make sure that they are feeling achieved. And we do have a very open ground to come and talk. My staff is a very open ground to come and talk to me about their problems, if there is any family problems. As much as my work environment is very professional, but the relationship within the team is quite personal. We're very open to it. If like my entire slip disc, I've discussed it with my team, what I was going through those 21 days when I was in bed. And I think they were very, very empathetic towards it. If I do observe a team member who's not very empathetic or who's coming in with a little bit of politics, preferably I take 14 days before we confirm the job, I deny such employees. For me, every team, a team member's nature and attitude is extremely important to me compared to their working skills. I think their skills are something I can still work upon, but I cannot work upon a team member's nature. And that's very, very important to me because I think that's what's going to bring that, bring that success to my other, to the team as a whole, to the business as a whole. So for me, in a work environment, in summary, it's very important that the team members feel achieved and are of coming from a very empathetic nature. Yeah.
So it does seem that you've brought about a lot of changes, a lot of freshness into the business and the way it works. But are there some things that you haven't been able to change despite you desperately wanting it to?
Yeah, there are. I do have that bucket list still there. As I said, one of the things that I want females in my warehouse. I want the females to do the packing of the material. Also, couple of other things is.
Sorry to interrupt, but why is that so much of a challenge?
It's the area where the warehouses are. Also, the material that we're using, it's very, very heavy. So it's just the physical structure of a woman that doesn't really enable her to handle a 25 kg carton. So typically our cartons are 25 kilos. And as much as we have, I've actually gone on hunting various markets and also gone through a couple of websites, especially the Amazon, when I did my program at IM, and one of my mentors had visited the Amazon warehouse, and I actually asked them what kind of instruments they use. So I thought I'd probably procure some of them and make sure that the women can avoid the lifting job. But unfortunately, there is a lot of lifting of material that's required at the warehouse. As far as the packing is concerned, the women can easily manage it. But again, the kind of laborers that are there, the kind of environment it is, I need a good enough team of women members to support each other when they're working there. It's not very safe to just have 2 or 3 women working with so many other male men in the warehouse.
Yeah, but when you talk about women and packing and warehouse, I'm reminded of this television series that I saw, Mr. Selfridge. It was about how Selfridge's store in London was set, and then they showed that when it was wartime and all the men had to go, it was the women who were managing the warehouse, who were doing all the packing and lifting, and I mean, those women had to go through the same challenges that, it cannot be done, it's heavy, but they found their way. So I'm sure that you're going to find a way to get that change in the warehouse as well. But Shivani, you've also often said that the resistance to women comes not only from within the family, but also from employees of the business and also society at large. And you've shared with me of the times when people kind of assume that you are, heading the marketing or you're heading the accounts function. They refuse to believe that you are heading the business. So how do you deal with it? And how do you deal with it?
So very, very frankly, I've actually ignored most of such people outside the family. And again, I would come back to saying that work speaks for itself. So for example, for the longest time, my chartered accountant would say, I want to talk to dad. I want to talk to dad. And eventually when he realized that he was not getting an answer, right? And then every time dad said, oh, I think she's managing it. Why don't you just talk to her? Why don't you just talk to her? And he realized over a period of 2 years that, okay, she's totally running this, but she knows her numbers in and out. She knows everything that's going in there. But since he was also quite old, it was very hard for him to believe that, a girl who's just come in back 2 years is now, handling the entire business. And she probably is now taking over the entire balance sheet finalization. So a very small example, but yes, I have faced this big time. A lot of people outside the family, a lot of manufacturers anything happens, they said, I think we'll talk to your dad. And eventually when you start, they realize she knows it, or you're able to negotiate harder. You're able to technically explain the product. So it's just a matter of time where, things just turn around. But I think it's a two-way thing. Dad has been very supporting, where he's also left the ball in my court saying, whether you know it or not, figure it out. And B, for me, I made sure that I never ever, every time they asked, said, rather said, oh, are you sure you can do this? Or give it, let's talk to dad. It was very initial years of business. I was very persistent. Aap mujhse baat kar sakte ho. Like, I can do it. Agar nahi hoega, to we'll see. So that was something that I consistently kept saying, that let's figure it out. And I think over a period of time, it very smoothly just transitioned into, in their mindset, okay, she's running the business. But yeah, you have to keep answering people, be persistent, be confident, not let them affect you, because there are times where you do get upset. You're anyways fighting so many challenges to make it to work initially, and then after you're at work, you're facing this. Older employees not accepting. A lot of the old team that I had, which were with dad for about over 20, 25 years, they would just not take me seriously initially. Of course, tables have turned around totally as of today, but but initial years it was very hard. They would not show me papers. They were not ready to explain me, simple things that I asked them for. Oh, you won't understand. Oh, you won't understand. But I said, no, I want to understand and I have the right to understand. So kindly sit down and explain me. So yeah, those basic challenges were there.
Some of the other inheritors that I have spoken with, they call these people the wall of the loyalists. So they say that we come back with enthusiasm and we want to, join the work, but we run into this wall of loyalists. And, the loyalists sometimes take it upon themselves to protect the business and the patriarch from the enthusiastic youngsters who, in their opinion, have a lot of enthusiasm but very little experience. So yeah, so I guess you have also been through the same thing. But tell me, now that you've been part of the business and 1999 to now, off and on, and now more on than off, what is your personal vision for this business?
So actually, I've been in fact working on valuing my company, and I wanted to bring this up to a level or to a certain level as far as my stocking is concerned and my warehousing was concerned, and have a good team in place. Eventually, as I said, it's a very, very labor-oriented business, and I have worked very, very hard to turn this around and give it a good shape. Eventually, I am looking to sell out my business, and in fact, we have had 2, 3 people who also approached us for the same. But personally, I don't think it's the correct time. But this is one of my future plans for the business. And there is another plan. I was also looking at an alternate product within fasteners, which is far more, I would say, lucrative than the existing product I'm doing. So if I get my hands onto that, I probably continue, if I'm able to continue this business without my day-to-day participation. So I have 2 goals. Either if I'm not able to do that, I'll sell it. And if I'm able to do that, then I want it to be absolutely managed by a good team. And I just want to be overlooking it. There are a lot of other things that I have in mind with work eventually, and even with my family life. As I said, it's been a struggle. A lot of time input has gone. I would want to be far more balanced than I am today. And, maybe pick up, there's a lot of things that I still want to learn. And so I need to make space for that before I take the next step. And it's just been fasteners for me since so many years. Yeah. So to think away from fasteners, I need to make sure I don't give up the fastener, but I park it in a safe place. Yeah. So that's my futuristic plan, and I'm working towards that at this point in time.
So this last year and a half has been quite traumatic for most of us. Yes. COVID has, kind of hit us when we least expected it. It is also said that every crisis teaches us something new. Yeah. What has this crisis taught you about yourself? Has it made you discover qualities in yourself that you didn't know existed? How has COVID kind of opened your eyes?
When COVID, at the onset of COVID, we were back in business within the first 2 months, which is June 2020. We've been blessed. We've had good enough business, but what we really faced was operational and logistical issues. Being a part of, the entire transport being on hold because of COVID, and workers not being able to make it to the warehouse. So what I realized is that I think I've been a fighter all the way, and I kind of realized that I'm more of a fighter, looking at various, and very modestly, I realized that for me, if something is not working, I don't drown in it too long. I will look for other ways. I will not wait too long for things to get corrected. And I think the fact that I did that, we went back into business very, very fast because we didn't wait for anything. We didn't wait for a transport company to start. I didn't wait for my warehouse workers. I've actually picked up this, you'll be surprised, but we've actually picked up roadside stall people to come and pack up material for us because our warehouse workers some of them had gone to the village, some refused to come, some families were scared. So we picked up people like that. And as far as transport was concerned, we arranged personal cars and we said, okay, fine, whatever within our limits, we're going to do it. And the fact that we kept up to that and not giving up, let's keep our warehouse shut because today BMC has put in alternate rules, or today workers are not at the village. We'll see, let's open it after 2 months. I didn't want to put any of my customers down. I said, hey, give me some time and I'm going to figure this out. Because I do realize that a lot of my fasteners are very crucial to a lot of missionaries and a lot of their work goes on hold. So most of my old customers, I've managed to service them through COVID. And we were blessed with business, I would say. Mm. We did have huge operational challenges, but we figured it, it was really nice to figure it out. I learned a lot in the process. Is just never give up. There are 100 ways to things. It's about just opening up your mind and looking at it versus letting that put you down and saying, hey, okay, COVID is calm and I can't do. I think beyond a point, it's just an excuse for you not to use your creative brains to a situation. So yeah, just about that. Yeah. Certain things. So one of the things that I feared, I did have a few fears. I feared my fund flow management over a period of time because I started servicing a lot of people. But most of these companies have very strict norms where, the invoice goes, they were not ready for tax, for soft copy of invoices. They're used to hard copy of invoices, then going through a particular system where the GRN is generated. So their entire system was on hold. Their people were working from home, not used to e-invoicing. So the payments didn't come in time. So I realized while I was servicing my clients, but my payment was not coming in. And again, not because they had fund issues, but because they had operational issues within their own organizations. But over a period of time, everything came in. So, but there was that little drop where I had the fear of my fund just being stuck up. So I did go through that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds that you did learn a lot about yourself, even though it is just that you're a fighter and that you're more of a fighter. So Shivani, these are FAB conversations where FAB is families and business. So this is something I ask all my guests. Tell us about your family, because unless you have a supportive family, whether you're a man or a woman, you really can't do anything at business. So
I so totally agree with you.
Tell us about your family.
So I was born to my two lovely couple, Jayesh and Ragini Doshi, my parents. And they have raised up 3 daughters, not like a daughter or son, but just as human beings. And that's what makes all 3 of us successful in our own place, because we were just looked and dealt with as human beings versus a boy or a girl. So we are definitely, my sisters and me are blessed to have such ambitious parents in every way, personally and professionally. As I was married to a man who wanted to, who refused to get married to a lot of women, saying that I want a full-on working, ambitious, passionate girl. I cannot get married to a girl who looks at her work as a part-time experience, which again, with all due respect, but that's not the kind of girl he was looking at. And he wanted a fighter. And he used to keep telling me, you're a fighter. And he was, so again, that worked very well, because that's exactly the kind of husband I was looking for. Somebody who identifies me for what I am, and also is with me to not only, run a business, but just to live a life which is a good balance of personal and professional life. So for him also, it's always about the right mix of things. His name is Gaurav Parikh. And that attitude from him has always kept me very balanced as well. I'm a mother to a son, Rish Parikh, who has been my biggest support system ever since birth. As I had mentioned earlier, he was 2 weeks old and I used to take him to office with me. And he's been coming till he was 6 years old. He used to come to work with me every day. And he's just not troubled me. In fact, he used to come and participate in everything that I was doing. So I already had a little entrepreneur building up there. And it was really nice to see him pick up, pick up books or pick up papers, try to print something and utilize his time in a more efficient way, which was nice. I'm also blessed with a very supporting father-in-law. His name is Akshay Parikh. Unfortunately, I do not have a mother-in-law. She passed away 7 years back. But my father-in-law has been absolutely supporting. He's also a father to another daughter, and he believes that. And this is something I learned from him, when I say that if you have it in you and you're able to prove it to the opposite person, there is no stopping you. And that is something he always told me, that it's your confidence, it's the hard work you put in that gives me enough confidence in you that you're going to be able to balance the house and the business. Yeah. So yeah, that's my family. Besides, I have two sisters. One is a doctor and she's settled in Boston, and the other one's PhD in physical sciences. She's doing research and she's settled in Melbourne.
Yeah. Wonderful. Sounds like the ideal family and the ideal business. So thank you, Shivani. As usual, really lovely talking to you and enjoyed my conversation with you, and hope that we'll do this in person in times to come. So
thank you so much, Sonu.
And hope to see you soon.
Yes, for sure. It was great chatting with you.